Welcome to Light the Wick. Not even welcome back, Charles. This is our first episode of this miniseries.
Yes.
Where we are exploring the world of John Wick, the criminal underworld. How are you, Charles?
I'm good. Yes, our first recording of the new year. And I'm really excited. I'm excited about this. And thank you to Kevin Blumenfeld for our brand new, legally dissimilar John Wick music.
Yeah, really setting the mood. We love it. We want this to feel different, you know?
Yeah.
So we've got new music. I've had all of my blood has been taken out and new blood is put in. So I'm feeling good.
Wow, that's an interesting operation you had there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Armstrong used to do it before races, so it's perfectly legal, and I'm feeling great, is what I'm trying to tell you, Charles.
Good.
And I'm really energized for this show.
Oh, but I want to tell all you, Mission Impossible fans, if you're a little bit wary of John Wick, first of all, I think we're going to win you over because all these people who work on these movies are so great, and you have to watch the John Wick movies because they're so great. But also, we will be dipping in and out of Light the Fuse because some of these people that we found worked on both franchises. So, of course, today we got Chad Stahelski, who is amazing and directed all three John Wick movies and the upcoming John Wick 4 and 5. But we also have people like Kevin Cavanaugh, who's a production designer on the John Wick movies, and he was also an art director on MI2 and MI3. And so with him, we have an episode of Light the Fuse where we will be talking about Mission Impossible. And then also we got Mark Stockinger. It was one of my favorite interviews. He's so great. He was the sound editor on the John Wick movies, and he did sound for MI2 and MI3. So we will be coming back in and out of Light the Fuse a bit during this miniseries, so never fear.
I don't care, Charles. I'm excited about this. The only thing you're gonna have to listen to each episode at least for a few minutes just to hear what music is going on at the beginning. That'll clue you in to whether or not it's Light the Wick or Light the Fuse. But we wanted to start things off with a bang, right, Charles? We wanted to kick this thing into high gear. So today we are talking to Chad Stahelski, who directed all three films. He co-directed the first one with David Leitch, directed 2 and 3 on his own, and he kicks ass and is awesome. And we are so excited for you to hear this episode.
Yeah, he's so great, and he talks so unbelievably fast. This is like a 4-hour interview jammed into 1 hour. It's pretty crazy.
And we're just giving you the first part today, so don't worry. We'll be back next week with more. But should we just toss this over, Charles? I mean, before we go, I have to do my plugs.
Of course, yes, please.
I don't know. I don't even know if these people know that they're sponsoring a Light the Wick podcast, but they are anyway. So this episode is brought to you by Jeremy Dillon, and also, be sure to check out his podcast, My Favorite Album. That's where our 007 versus Mission Impossible mega episode came from. And he's talked to people like Drew Pearce, Rose McGowan, Bob Odenkirk. The list goes on. This episode is also brought to you by John B. And it's also brought to you by Real Estate Interest LLC, commercial real estate advice for growing companies. So you can consult with them, even if you're not looking to buy or sell. They help companies save and strategize as well. So you have any plugs to do before we throw it on over?
I don't really have any plugs. I mean, I've got a lot of random stuff we could talk about. Should we throw in something here? It's been a while since we've recorded anything, and we've gotten a lot of people reaching out.
You got something to get off your chest?
Yeah, I do. You want to hear something?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, here's something that's, the Blu-ray set for the Mission Impossible TV series.
Yeah.
This guy, Steve England, reached out to us to let us know that the Blu-ray set works on UK Blu-ray players. So if you're in the UK and you were concerned about that, you could order the Blu-ray set of the TV series, and it will work for you for the Mission Impossible TV series that came out before Christmas. So if you're interested in it, you should get it. It's a really great, beautiful set.
Wow, a little region-free action.
Yes, and also, of course, our Patreon, we did an episode about the TV box set, so you should check that out as well.
Yes. Is that it? That's literally the only thing you had to tell me?
I mean, okay, well, we also, there's a lot of things, but, we'll spread it out. Well, we've got a long time here. Light the Wick is going to last for a while. I'm going to spread out these little tidbits. That's just the first one.
Okay, all right. Well, you got me on the hook now, Charles. I'm ready for more, so we're going to have to come back for that stuff next week. But get ready for some more. We have more legally dissimilar John Wick-ish music coming up right now from Kevin Blumenfeld, so let's just go there, and we'll be back after Chad Part 1. are so thrilled today to be joined on this inaugural episode of Light the Wick with the film. I would say you are one of the architects of the franchise. Would you say that, Chad?
I'll say I'm, yeah, sure. I helped develop it and direct it, I guess. So that would make me an architect, yes.
Yes. So were you and David initially the directors of John Wick? Was this something that you had wanted to do for a little while, or were you guys brought onto it?
No, Dave and I we're partners in an action design company, or a stunt design company, 8711. Dave was looking to direct his project. I was looking to direct. We both had been doing a ton of second unit or action directing on some. We were working on everything from superhero movies to action movies to big budget, small budget. We had a pretty good second unit career going, but we were both looking and interested in trying first unit. I guess I had been friends with Keanu for, I don't know, ever since, Jesus, I'm going to go way back to 97, I think, when they were casting for the first Matrix. Cut to years later where Keanu, when I remained, friends, we'd been talking, and he had been handed this script called Scorn, which became John Wick. And he had contacted me going, hey, I'm going to do this quirky little action movie. Would you mind giving it a read? I gave it a read. He's like, look, I would really love it if your action company came in and helped out with it. I read the script, and I think he killed like 3 guys total. Like, it was one little car chase, and he shot one guy in the head, and that was about, and the other 2 drowned, I think. It was really, really not an action movie. And when they wanted to do it and how they wanted to do it, like, it just, we were doing like, Marvel Bond size films at the time. So it was like hard for us to get our head around how literally, and I'm trying not to sound gigantically egotistical, but they couldn't afford us at the time, or the company. So I, gave it a think, and there was something about the way Derek Cole said written. It was very simple. It was very different than what the movie came out to be. It was just about, an older man who had survived the Cold War, who had, he was a widower. All he had was his old German Shepherd left, and some thuggy kids broke into his place, killed his dog and stole some of his shit and beat him up a little bit. And then you come to find out through a series of events that this guy is a Cold War ex-CIA vet. And, he's like, yeah, I've kind of had it, So, and he goes and he beats them all up, and he gets into trouble along the way. And I read that and I was like, oh, I totally get it. Why? It was just written kind of quirky, and the guy didn't talk for like 20 minutes, and it was like kind of sad. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It just had a weird emotional tone to it, which really stuck in my head. And then, back in my college days and stuff, I was really into Greek mythology and, myth in general, like the Joseph Campbell route and stuff. And I've always wanted to make a modern day myth. So I got back on the phone with Keanu and said, look, can't second unit direct it, but I'd be happy to direct it. And he's like, oh my God, that'd be great. That sounds really fun. And I was like, but I have this really kooky idea. Let me explain it to you. And then I riffed for the next, I don't know, he kept me on the phone. We were talking for like an hour or two about how I would make all the characters symbolic Greek or Roman mythological characters. Obviously Winston, like Zeus and the Chiron reference, and how New York City was going to be the underworld, and how John Wick had to go into Hades and navigate all the different things. And it was a world beneath the world. And Keanu didn't miss a beat, said, well, it sounds great. When can you pitch? And I was like, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks. He's like, can you pitch Monday? I was like, how about Tuesday? So I called my buddy Dave up, and we're like, listen, there's a chance here that, like, look, we could both get a little directing time, a little direction credit on this little movie. We'll leverage everything we have, and I think we could do something different with it. We have Keanu behind us, obviously a good friend. So, didn't sleep for about 48 hours, put together a presentation with video and stuff, and our stunt team came out and we choreographed some of the gung fu that we wanted to do. And then we presented it to the company that owned it, Thunder Road Productions. And Basil Ionic heard us out, and it was a lot more silence. And then he went, yeah, cool, that sounds great. I'm like, okay, that's 2 good things. So then it became this process of trying to shop it around to a studio, and literally, I don't think we finished one pitch for all the major studios. I don't think we ever got through. Maybe we got through 1 or 2. But no one seemed to bite on killing a dog. By the time we changed it to a puppy, no one bought Keanu Reeves' vehicle that we killed the puppy. The wife wasn't killed by bad guys, and we killed, 50 people. So no one quite got that one. Right. So we ended up making it independently, actually.
And then Lionsgate came on.
Yeah, Lionsgate acquired it as an acquisition.
Wow.
Well, when we were sort of pre-gaming, you just said that Christopher McQuarrie actually offered you guys some sort of guidance and leadership. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, no, that was it was for a different at the time. Dave and I, after the first John Wick, we became involved in a graphic novel project called Cowboy Ninja Viking that we were very into. We loved the graphic by Andy Lieberman. We really loved the topic, so we brought in and the way he was doing it, through different entities of the production staff, knew Chris, and they asked Chris to do a favor to us if he would come in and just riff a little bit, and we spent the afternoon with Chris, and he was super cool. At the time he had just done the first his first Mission Impossible, and he was just great. He was a fun, super fun, very intellectual guy to riff with and stuff. And we started talking about the John Wicks, what he liked about him, and all that stuff. And we just were kind of playing around. I was like, okay, where would you go from here? And he just kind of, well, this is what you want to do, and this is, more overall concept and theory about how he works and how he writes. Just an insight into his world about how he does his creative process. I mean, we only spent like a full afternoon with him, but it was very, very helpful, very instructional. And it was like, at the time, we were just two little action director guys that had done John Wick. So for him to take time out of his day and really come in and connect and talk was really cool, man. And to this day, I still, I'm a huge fan of his. And, whenever I get the chance to try and, I'd love to discuss more stuff on him.
Is there some rivalry there in terms of one-upping each other in the action department?
That's funny. I get asked that a lot between, Bond and I certainly don't put Wick in this category, but, when you do action movies, it's easy to think like, oh, we are competing with anybody from Gareth, Evans on The Raid, all the way to Chris McQuarrie on Mission Impossible, to any of the Bond guys, to Marvel and all that stuff. Honestly, I don't think it's a competitive thing with each other. I think I can't speak for any other people, but I can only say that I would assume that they feel similar to me, where you're not competing with them, you're competing with yourself to gain the audiences, to get their attention, to get their interest, to somehow, constantly challenge yourself to show them something fresh and new while still making them feel nostalgic and comfortable with what you're showing them. So, again, I don't think it's, maybe we'll take little stabs at each other, but I think it's a good thing. But I don't, in fact, it's hard. You don't want to be competitive with, I'm a fan,
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I haven't changed in 10 years since I started directing, it's like, I still want to go see the new Bond. I want to go see Time to Die or Time to Kill. I want to go see, Mission Impossible 7 and 8. I'm psyched about the Top Gun trailer with Joe Kosinski. Like, these are all people I've worked with or met, and I can't wait to see their work.
Right.
And hopefully someday you'll get to interview them and go, yeah, I wonder what Chad's going to do for the next John Wick. I mean, that would be super cool,
You cast Michael Nyqvist in the first movie. Was that at all inspired by seeing him as the bad guy in Ghost Protocol?
No, it was inspired by Ghost with the Dragon Tattoo. I thought he was great.
You got a much better performance out of him in your movie.
Again, we spent years and years and years doing all the second unit directing. So usually when actors come onto our unit or they're doing their action, their fight scenes, their car chase, they're happy. They've been stressed out on first. They come to second. Second's like, the fun guys, the action guys, the stunt guys. So you're like, and it's not really fair to the first year, the main unit director. He's doing all the heavy lifting and the stress and actually having to cast them and deal with them and talk about the character arcs. They come on out, it's like vacation, like, I can just let my hair down and shoot some people. It'd be fun. So, it gives us an insight and gives us a relationship with some cast members that the first unit guys don't get to have. They don't get to do the fun stuff we do.
Right.
It must be tough for some of the first unit guys when we come on and we're like the stunt guys and all that. But my point is that you get to see things from both sides. You actually get to work with them and try your directing style, knowing that you really only have to do the really fun and cool stuff. But then you got to sit on first unit and watch, the other director do their thing and really deal with them for the heavy lifting, the thematics, the dramatics, all that kind of stuff. So you learn a lot of tricks and you learn how to communicate. And you see unfortunately for them, but lucky for me, or Dave, or like Sam Hargrave, or any of the other action directors that are not turning director, is we get to see different directing styles all the time. Like when you're just a director out of film school, you're just directing like you're directing. Because you haven't stood on the set with Spielberg or Fincher or James Mangold or, Guy Ritchie or any of the Wachowskis. Like, we've done all that. I've got over, I think, 70 directors on my resume, maybe more.
Wow.
And some of them are the biggest on the planet. And I've had to deal with them and interact with them and sit there and watch them. So you tell me a film school that allows that to happen. So I have an unfair advantage because, regardless of my personality, creatively I'm my style. but how I interact or how I manage or how I lead changes with who I need to lead or manage. So it was like going to school over and over again. So when you go to somebody, like instantly you meet Michael, so let me get this right. I get this Swedish guy that kind of knows English to speak English and Russian, who doesn't know Russian, in a way different than any of the stereotypical Russians do it. So, okay, here's a good idea. Let's hire a Swedish guy that doesn't know English or Russian and teach them both and see what happens. So if you're telling me, yeah, we're genius directors that pulled that performance out, I would say it's a lot of trust and luck,
Okay.
and a little bit of wackiness and knowing when to, like, I swear to you, I would say 7 out of 10 times in the movie we watch Michael go cool it, or these little goofy things. Those weren't in the original cut. We cut all that out. That's Michael just riffing, going, I don't know how to say this in Russian, so I'm just going to make shit up and go, that guy, like, a lot of that was improv because, the whole, we were going to be serious directors and we're going to make a serious Russian Ogliarch movie or something like that where he's speaking real Russian, and it just, we had no time, no money. And to ask Michael to learn, Russian with a Siberian accent probably was overreaching what we were asking for. So Michael instead would try to do it physically, and he'd almost get frustrated and kind of say this, and then sometimes it would come out blah, like English, and sometimes it would come out in Swedish, and sometimes it would come out in, movie Russian.
Right.
And what you see in the movie is an amalgamation of everything we got. We got done with the first cut of the movie, and it was all serious, really hardcore. He's trying to speak Russian, and the other guy is John serious. And the movie was absolutely no fun at all. It was kind of a downer. So we went back through and literally changed every take we could to Michael's. We called them the fun takes, where he literally just either riffed or we combined the takes. And Michael's a very funny, energetic guy in person. And we tried to restrain that. So we learned a very valuable lesson of let the guy be himself. Let him really take this character somewhere instead of making it the character in our head. Be a little bit more flexible and let it breathe. And once we did that, he became he's probably the funnest part of the movie between him and obviously his cohorts.
Well, did he help sort of establish, because the tone of the movie is really interesting, and it is a little wackier than your straightforward action movie. But did he kind of help establish that tone, and is it something that you're still figuring out as you do these movies?
Oh, absolutely. I think of whatever experience you want to say I have in the business, the hardest thing for a director to ride is tone. That's why you'll see so many action movies and superhero movies and dramas. Sometimes you can always feel it in the movie. You're like, what am I watching? What movie am I watching here? Like, you'll ask yourself, you'll see a movie that you think, oh, it's going to be, oh, wait, it's not that. And then it switches back and you're like, oh, okay, that's not that movie. I thought we were in the world of reality. Oh, fuck, we're not in reality here. Or, oh, wow, you want me to feel something, but now we're doing fart jokes. What are we doing? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, for every director, because you know how films work. You shoot out of sequence, you're putting it together. Like, very rarely does a director have complete authorship. You have producers, you have the studio, you have the money people, you have the actors. Everybody's got their own idea what this movie is. We'll get into what makes a good director in a bit, but or at least my opinion of that. Tone was always the hardest for us, and we thought we were going to make this badass, hardcore, hard-boiled, no one laughs kind of movie. And then about 3-4 weeks in, we're like, this sucks. This is not fun. So we started shifting, and then we started doing the world, and it kind of, to be absolutely truthful, we had a 60%, 70% we knew what we wanted. And that other 30%, that's what you get when you have Keanu Reeves, a dog, Gun Fu, John Leguizamo, Michael Nyquist, Willem Dafoe, Lance Reddick, Clark, Adrian Palicki, and you throw them all in a bowl, you mix them around, you have no time, no money, and you got a kooky cinematographer like Jonathan Sella, and no money and no time. And what you get is this really weird tonal thing where it's uncomfortably violent, yet at the same time it feels, and we always wanted something that felt like Good, the Bad, the Ugly, like Leone film, which is melodramatic, hyper real, whatever you want to call it. You go watch Good, the Bad, the Ugly, it's probably tonally the closest thing to a Wick, or we're the closest thing to Good, the Bad, the Ugly, depending on how you look at it. It's supposed to happen in reality. It's just some pretty, I don't know if anybody duels, for 7.5 minutes standing there eyeballing each other. So he takes some creative license as well. So again, in answer to the second part of your question, yeah, it's all, tone is the thing that's what keeps me up at night. Like every choice I make affects that tone. And if you're not aware of that as a director, it'll bite you. I know every cast member I get affects the tone. Like I basically spent, I think, 9 years with the Wachowskis through the Matrixes and Speed Racer and Ninja Assassin and some of the other things we helped them prep from Cloud Atlas on. And currently now on Matrix 4. It's just, you learned, that was film school on steroids. That was incredible because there's nothing, if you go back and watch that first Matrix, there's nothing, there's no waste. From the glass they drink with, to the firearms they use, to the wardrobe, to the shots, to the lighting, to the music, there is nothing wasted. Like that is all meant to give you one, and they knew that going in. That's the genius. That's not an accident. Like I was there. I watched them, every little piece of wardrobe, every sound effect, every gunshot, every visual effects. They knew what they wanted. I saw that movie completely boarded and watched them do it with one camera on the day. There was no guessing. There was no editorially solving. There was no, hey, let's see what happens. It was, planning just to keep that tone. So when you leave that and you go onto your own film, you realize every little thing I do affects tone. Like if you want a super serious tone, you have to direct that. If you want a tone that leaves room for other things, you have to build that into the DNA or make it systemic in your project. And that's always so as we choreograph action, when you have to see it in terms of editing, you see it in terms of color. Like, if you watch the John Wick, you can tell I have a thing about pacing. I have a thing about light. I like everything to be very pretty. I have a thing with symmetrical editing. I have a thing with, the way I compose, very much like, trying to rip off Kurosawa or Leone or Tarkovsky. I like those wide angle lenses. I like slow pushes. I like, people to see what I, want to show them by center framing or 1/3 punching. Like there's all these things in here. I take out bass tracks in music so you can hear the gunshots. That's all thought out beforehand. But then there's the organic part of, you start a production, like, every time I start a film, I haven't worked with everybody. There's new cast, there's new stunt teams, there's new ideas choreography wise. So as you go into that, you've got to kind of knock things into play, or you just take your hands off the wheel and see where you go sometimes, and that's the fun part about, I like to call it organic filmmaking. I shoot on locations. I try to do practical stunts. I try to let accidents happen. That's what I'm like Sidney Lumet. I like to see that happy accident, and you let the reins go on cast sometimes for that. There'll always be a couple takes where I'm like, okay, I feel really good with that one. Now just fucking yell. Let's do it. And you try to give the inspiration to the cast and to the stunt guys or to the animals or to the cameraman to kind of, okay, now we're going to go. One of the big things I do with the Wicks, what I've always done on my second unit sets, is I do a lot of prep, way more prep than pretty much anybody else I've met before. For those that don't know, sometimes you'll do hard prep when you open offices 16 weeks out. You'll bring the actors in 6 weeks out, the stunt teams 8 weeks out. That's on a regular action movie, and then you kind of train them for 6 weeks. I mean, 6 weeks is nothing. You can't do. That's why you have so many questionable fight scenes. Like you can't. What are you going to teach a regular human being in 6 weeks? If I told you guys you had to learn to speak French in 6 weeks, could you do it? I mean, on top of that, you're asking them to. Yeah, by the way, you're supposed to be the world's best martial artist, and you got to do splits, and you got to. Oh, don't worry, the doubles will do it, and that's where it starts spiraling downhill. We put so much prep. We put 5 months of prep in. My camera guys are there for months. My DPs are there for months. Like everybody's really prepped. So by the time we walk on a set, everybody kind of knows what they're doing. So rather than catching up and trying just to make my day, I can go incredibly quick and give room to have fun, to create. So everybody's not sitting around going, hurry, 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 hurry. We're sitting around going, okay, well, that was cool. What else can we do? Because it's the first time you're on the real locations. A lot of times the actors won't, like Keanu will show up, he'll get out of the car and he'll be like, oh my God, you told me it was big, but I didn't know it was this. Oh, next thing you know, we're in, you're under a waterfall. He's like, well, you can't rehearse in a waterfall. You know what I mean? So that's the location and permits and how much money they take. Now you're in a real airport or you're in the real thing. Like, oh, I didn't. So you need time to acclimate. You need time to grow that in. But if he just came out of his car and went, okay, take off your jacket. You're going to stand here, walk to this mark, stand here. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. How much creative process do you think is built into that system? And that's 90% of all movies. So we decided, okay, well, first let's check that box and kill that way of doing it. That sucks. So we try to do something a little different. And I think Dave still works that way. I work that way. Some of the other guys work that way. Anybody that comes from a really heavy second unit background would probably validate what I'm saying.
There are a lot of things when I first saw John Wick, they were so mind blowing. But just for one of them is the way that you stage the action in these long takes where, similar to, we've talked about this about Mission Impossible, like you want to see that Tom Cruise is actually doing these things. The way that you shot it, you really see that Keanu Reeves is really doing these things. When we talked to Evan Schiff, he had mentioned that it was sort of came out of the budget, but because it was a timing issue, you had to show Keanu do a lot of things in a single take. I guess I just wanted to hear you talk about that approach, and I feel like that was a mind-blowing thing for a lot of people to see this approach to action, because so much is cut in actions, and this is nice to see these long takes.
Yeah, I mean that's a wow, that's a loaded question. First, you have to remember one time period. This is during all the Bournes and shaky cam and all that stuff.
Right.
Then you have to realize why. Why is there shaky cam? 20 years ago, shaky cam would have just been called bad camera work. Camera guys would have got fired for that. Now it became a style, and you got to ask you, well, why is it a style? Why do people like it? Objectively speaking, whether I like or dislike is irrelevant. Like when Greengrass first did in the second Bourne, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought he put pacing and he put energy or a kinetic pacing, I guess, into shots that normally would have been a phone ringing or a guy picking up a pencil or so. And by doing it and doing his snaps and moving, he infused all that kinetic energy because he wanted you to feel tense. He wanted you to feel like Matt Damon was on the run, right? And it worked. I thought it worked geniusly. It was great. Like that whole movie feels very tense. And then when that became a thing, I think it got misinterpreted from something about being able to infuse tension and energy into the overall aesthetic of the movie. It became about putting energy into scenes that just weren't good to begin with. And I'm not talking on the Bournes. I'm talking as it filtered down through other films. People went, okay, it doesn't matter how good the fight is. We're just going to shake it. And when he answers, we're going to shake it. And we're in a car shake, we're going to shake it. And then it became even worse. Then it went to a third generation of, okay, so we don't have to do our due diligence and find out what the scene's really about. We should put energy in because energy's good, right? And rather than why did he do that and what did it matter to the overall, people went, well, we'll just do that because it sold and it made money. And then it became, well, guess what? We don't have any money. We don't have time to rehearse. We don't have good CG. We don't have, we didn't train our actors, and we don't have great locations, and we really have no fucking idea what the scene's about, but don't worry about it. We're going to shake shit around. Like, you're going to feel like you're in this fight. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm getting my ass kicked every time I want. I have no fucking idea where I am. I feel like I'm being punched. I don't know where I'm getting punched. So, yes, I just think something that was a cool version of how to move camera and something fresh, and he's trying to liven up things, filtered down through the industry and became an excuse not to do things the right way. You got to remember, like, one of our guys actually worked with Matt on the first one, like, trained him, and Johnny Sabio did all the quirk. Like, Matt's very good. Paul's a great director. Like, they had good, like, he did that as well as have everything good. And that was a choice. Like, he didn't try, he's not hiding Matt Damon. He's not hiding stunt doubles. He's not hiding bad CG or bad, and those scenes are good. If you watch it, it's not this clusterfuck. It actually has a lot of purpose. People get so used to, either talking shit or not. Like, go back and watch the second part. Like, it's very well done. And he uses it very precisely, very surgically. And then, from there, as it branched out through all the different films from low to big budget, now it's just become this norm of, hey, if you can't hide it, shake it. You know what I mean? And you're just like, okay, that's not the same as doing your homework. Like, you still got to do your fucking homework. You still got to do rehearsals. You still got to do stuff. And in addition to that, if you want to move camera, great, move camera. So there's that whole thing that's just coming from an action background. And they shoot dialogue scenes like that sometimes because, like, I don't know what the scene's about. It's like, where's the sun? I don't know. Where's the sun? Okay. And you're like, okay, well, what? Visually you're telling me one thing, and verbally you're telling me another thing, and tonally you're telling me a third thing that doesn't match either. So once again, I'd have to go to every director that would use it and go, okay, why are you doing this? Like, I get why we're pushing in. I get why we're pulling out. I get why you're doing the wide top lonely man shot. But, like, why does everything have to, like, why are you doing it here? And if you don't know, if you don't have an answer to that, then it's kind of like, okay, what the fuck are you doing? But if you have an answer for it, then that's subjective. And that's, like, I'm all behind that. So, one, I think at the time, Dave and I, we're not against shaky cam. We're not against handheld. We're not like people think that. Nor are we for long takes or against long takes. It's just, on the first John Wick, I like live theater. I like dance shows. I like sitting in an audience and watching a live performance. through our careers as being martial art choreographers and stunt choreographers, we've dealt with a lot of dance choreographers because, I don't know if you guys know, but there's very little real martial arts in movies. It's all about like we train dancing drills because we have to have memories. We can't hurt people. Like it's not real martial arts. We take real martial arts and train them how to dance basically. And that's how our guys get so good is we train them in dance drills. We train them in memory drills. We train them in 2-person drills. In a fight, it's action, reaction. For us, it's action, action. Both guys know what's going to happen. So they have to just act like they don't know what's going to happen. But that way no one gets punched in the neck, which is a good thing. So at the time, we're like, okay, we went through the budget on John Wick. We went through the time. We're like, okay, so let me get this straight. We have no time, no money. We don't have really any time to train with Keanu. So we're breaking all our rules that we want to do. Keanu's got a bad knee, a bad shoulder. Okay, we can't go in for coverage because now we're looking at the shot day count. We're like, okay, this fight should take 10 days, but we've got 2. And we're like, okay, so rather than bitch and moan and try to do it and do unachievable goals and just hope it'll all work out, we're like, okay, let's figure out the choreography right now. This is our job. This is what we should do. So let's take punching and kicking right out of it. Gone. Okay? Because, punching and kicking, if you do a punch, you have to get the reverse for the reaction. So we have to do a lot of reverses. It's very hard to do in one long take wide because there's always going to be what we call a miss. You can tell that they're not really hitting each other. So we're like, okay, if anybody punches or kicks, there's going to be contacts, meaning they're actually going to touch a padded part of the body. And we're like, okay, well, that's going to be rough. Can't do a whole movie about that. So what do we do? All right, well, he's going to grab people. He's going to grab and he's going to throw. That way we get impact and we see the stunt guys grab. And we're like, okay. And we're going to use a bunch of extras in all our scenes and we're going to hide all those camera moves. We're going to do long takes and we'll just do it one long time, shoot everybody and we'll serpentine. So he's a wide shot here. He's going to move. He'll get to a medium shot, then back to a wide shot, then a close shot. And that way you'll get the close-ups built in so we don't have to cut. And we'll only do it the whole time. That way we'll cut our fights down by 2/3. We'll do a five-day fight in a day. And we're like, it sounds great. And then Keanu looked at us just like, the fuck are you guys talking about? It was like, we're only going to do judo and jiu-jitsu. And we got this new thing called gun fu. And what we're going to do is take Aikido and we're going to contact hit. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, you're going to touch people with a gun and pull the trigger. He's like, is that a real thing? I'm like, it is now. And then we're going to shoot you more. It's like, we're going to have you shoot more guns than you've ever shot before in your life. You're going to do your own reloads. You're going to run out of bullets. And we're going to build all that in. So no matter what mistake we make on camera, we don't have to cut. You run out of bullets, you just simply reload. The gun jams, you clear the gun. You pop a guy with it, you run out, you're just going to do this move. No matter what you grab, and we taught him like 20 throws, and no matter where he grabbed, he's going. And then we got the best stunt guys we could. We choreographed it hardcore for 8 weeks and literally shot the whole movie in less than 50 days. So,
wow.
Once we trained them how to drive and do all that stuff, it was literally just, okay, this is what you're doing. We're going to, everything you know about stunt work, we're just going to get rid of, and we're just going to do it this way. And that's kind of how it came about. So when we came to edit, it wasn't like an editing choice. We just didn't have anything else to edit.
There we go, Charles. We made it through. We didn't embarrass ourselves. I loved talking to him. I hope we talk to him again.
Yeah.
He's been hugely instrumental in getting this whole miniseries off the ground. So we love him and can't thank him enough.
Yeah, and he is it's just so energetic and just it's such a delight to talk to him. He's just obviously just exploding with ideas. It's really cool to talk to him about all of this. And you definitely should come back. There's a lot of really great stuff next week with Chad and beyond with Light the Wick.
Yes, I'm really excited for people to hear this. We are still recording episodes as we speak, and obviously still chasing that white whale of our final interview. But this is going to go on for a while, and I think it's really fun. I think we're getting some fresh blood, but still, like you said at the beginning, including that Light the Fuse flavor every so often. And it's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. So definitely come back. And I think it's time also we should plug our Patreon. You should absolutely go to patreon.com/lightthefuse. And check out all the bonus content that we have there. If you sign up at the bonus content level, you will get so many great Patreon episodes. We recorded a bunch over the last couple months that were wonderful. We did one about the MI2 work print that somebody unearthed that was an earlier cut by John Woo that, we talk about that, whether or not that was legitimate, and that's a pretty fun episode. We did another one about the storyboards for the snowmobile sequence in Ghost Protocol. So we unearthed those storyboards from the unfilmed sequence that was going to open Ghost Protocol with a snowmobile chase. And you should sign up for that. Also, check out our TeePublic store, which is linked from our website, lightthefusepodcast.com, in the merch section. Over the holidays, your wife made us these amazing new designs. We have a holiday Mission Impossible t-shirt that I love. And she also made us a couple of Scuba Luther designs. We finally have Scuba Luther designs. So go to our TeePublic store, get a shirt or a magnet or a mask. You can get Scuba Luther. You can wear him with pride.
Yes, and we want to just remind people to just like, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you are listening, and just tell people about it. Tweet about it. Don't even tweet at us. Just tweet about it. We want to be on somebody's list of like podcasts to listen to. Something. We need some kind of positive reinforcement. Charles and I are just drowning out here, wanting some kind of, admission of quality from the outside world. And so, whatever you can do certainly helps. And Charles, do you have any, is this show sponsored by anybody?
Oh, yes. Well, we do have to say a special thank you to Eddie Santos. And also I want to credit our wonderful intern, Abby Smith, and our wonderful editor and mixer, Luke Burson. So thank you so much to them. We couldn't do it without you. And obviously we couldn't do it without all of you out there listeners. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. The doors to any service or provider in connection with the Continental are now closed.